They've done a great job of rigging this. They've done a great job of rigging this league. The league, they're not even being subtle. They're not even being subtle. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. This is embarrassing.
This season's Indiana Fever versus World game is proof, if it wasn't previously, everything you could possibly want was present in the Fever's matchup with the defending champion New York Liberty. The intensity of a playoff game, star power, big stakes, and a sold-out Indy crowd. Many saw it as a sneak peek into the championship. In front of a nationwide audience, two of the most thrilling teams in the league square off. It should have been a huge victory for the WNBA. But since it's the WNBA, controversy was inevitable. And once more, it originated with the referees. Fans were left scratching their heads or cursing at their screens, much like in the previous season. Missed calls, dubious fouls, and incidents that gave the defending champions the upper hand. However, the controversy goes beyond a few missed calls. We'll get into that in a moment, but let's be clear, they were savage. The fact that this is a part of a larger pattern is the true problem. Just a few games into the regular season, a pattern that began last year, worsened during the preseason, and is now boiling over. If you think I'm overstating things, wait till you see some of the statistics showing how unfair the officiating has been this season against the Fever. It affects all games, not just one or two. Additionally, the league is completely embarrassed by the numbers. Even the Fever has had enough since things have grown so awful. Following the Liberty game, head coach Stephanie White didn't hold back. It wasn't ambiguous. It wasn't tactful. It was a direct warning shot. Even Caitlin Clark, who often maintains her composure, made a small jab of her own. Let's examine what actually transpired. But first, if you believe the referees are treating the Fever unfairly, watch this video. If you disagree, please leave a comment and remember to subscribe.
I can't believe what I'm about to say. The Indiana Fever, with the strongest, loudest, most intimidating home court advantage in all the WNBA, just got robbed at home. I saw it with my own two eyes live on CBS.
Fans, commentators, and even players are furious about what we're about to witness. It's not just one bad night by the referees. It's a pattern, a lengthy, annoying, and perhaps hazardous pattern. And it dates back to the previous season. It was clear that Caitlin Clark would receive different treatment as soon as she set foot on a WNBA court. The level of physicality increased. Extra liberties were being taken by players. The referees also swallowed their whistles. It began frequently and early. Last year, there were times when Caitlin appeared to be shaken. Naturally, there was also the Kennedy Carter incident. The hit went viral around the league. In what was obviously a frustration foul, Caitlin Clark was caught off guard by the ball. What actions did the referees take? Instead of calling it a flagrant, they referred to it as a common foul. For many supporters, it was the tipping point. What else would be upgraded in real time, if not that? The worst part was that there were still more non-calls. They followed Caitlin all the way to the postseason.
But I will just say the lopsided officiating was absolutely insane.
To be honest, there are simply too many examples to cover in a single video. The missed calls alone might be used to create a whole documentary. Furthermore, no one is requesting a bubble wrap rulebook in this situation. Because Caitlin Hard is Caitlin Clark, players will always play her. On most nights, she is the best player on the court. There's a target on your back with that. Hard fouls and allowing the game to flow are also not a problem. However, the issue is that there hasn't been any consistency. It didn't get much better during the preseason, and the Fever constantly appeared to get the short end of the foul stick.
This is another year and another case of WNBA referees dropping the ball, not making the right calls when it comes to Caitlin Clark.
There were no free throws for Caitlin Clark. Nothing. It's not because she wasn't fouled either. The referees were blatantly ignoring it, which is why. There's already a distinct trend in the first few games. Clark makes contact, drives, is hacked, and nothing happens. Whistles remain in the pockets. The annoyance finally exploded. She picked up a text simply for pointing out the applause obvious, and you could sense it in her body language. Additionally, the disparity persisted in the 3 regular season games preceding the game versus the Liberty. In a minute, Stephanie White will present the astounding numbers. Even though we are discussing day-to-day discrepancy, some people chose to ignore it, claimed that things would calm down, and the officiating would become more reliable. It's just early season stuff. The Fever's big game versus the reigning champions, the Liberty, was the ideal test. Let's be clear before we get into the controversy. This was a fantastic, dramatic game. Both teams performed. The crowd was boisterous, and the energy was on par with the playoffs.
I feel like I'm getting hammered. I don't know. I appreciate Christy getting a tech, too. I don't know.
Making spectacular plays all over the floor, Lexi Hall was a spark plug. Aaliyah Boston also reminded everyone of the reasons she was selected first in 2023. As you could see, Caitlin and Aaliyah had a strong bond. The chemistry was clear. Aaliyah was finishing well in the paint, while Caitlin was threading the needle on passes. They were interacting throughout play, reading each other, and posing serious challenges to New York's defense. Even while Caitlin's performance wasn't particularly outstanding by her typical standards, she still gave moments that perfectly capture her personality. She had a few sequences that blew the roof off the building, made incredible passes, and landed challenging shots. She managed to leave her fingerprints all over the game, even on a bad night. And that's what makes stars different from superstars. It was a performance full of highlight reel plays, even though it wasn't her biggest stat line.
Even in the playoffs last year, do we not remember when Caitlin Clark is shooting a layup and she's in the air and Marina Mabrey commits a block, a hit on the arm, a blocking foul, like whatever hit on the arm foul, everything. She just comes late and is like, Caitlin's not getting a layup. Jumps sideways into her, takes her arms out, knocks Caitlin on the ground, and then stops because she knows she's fouled, and the referees are like, play on, play on.
There was entertainment value, a boisterous audience in Indiana, two teams that are evenly matched, and playoff-level excitement. The WNBA longed for a clash like this one. Stars shining, tension rising, and a close score throughout were all present. But none of that made headlines when the final whistle rang. The referees were the only topic of conversation.
It is kind of interesting that Caitlin Clark hasn't been to the free throw line at all.
The disparity in foul calls was blatantly obvious. With 32 attempts, the Liberty were living at the free throw line. The Fever, meanwhile, is just 15. That is more than twice as much. That kind of discrepancy is not only apparent, but also important in a close game like this one. Furthermore, the way the fouls were called was just as important as their quantity. While Caitlin and her teammates were being body checked without a whistle, the Liberty were receiving touch fouls. Two distinct sets of rules seemed to be in effect.
I mean, they have 9 baskets, and I have one officially with 7 right-handed layups.
Oh, Clark found a hole in the defense.
Now, Caitlin's going to wait for Aaliyah Boston here.
Goes over the top, Boston, then catch fading away, goes off the glass.
It was very clear that the New York Liberty were at the line 32 times, compared to the Fever's 15. I get to call fouls now. I don't like not calling fouls. But in this case, the New York Liberty were committing identical fouls against a Fever that weren't called. Call every ticky-tacky foul if that's what you're going to do, but do so for both sides right now.
This is the best passing connection I can remember since John Stockton was feeding Karl Malone back in the Utah days.
Then there's this, though, similar to the preseason and the entire previous season. Caitlin Clark was being hacked, but the referees chose to ignore it. No protection, no calls, and eventually it begins to feel intentional, as if they are making a statement to the league as a whole. It's open season to guard Caitlin Clark.